Now, after you've prepared your slate and brushed it off real good, you'll lay your cloth out on the table. I like to do this process here at the last cleaning of the table. Swap your cloth back and forth. It just makes sure there's no trash left on the table. Shake your cloth off. Look at the back side of it. Make sure you have no strings or threads or any foreign material on the back side of this cloth. The least little thing will seem like a boulder under it once you get this cloth stretched and on the slate. Now lay your cloth out. Cut you a piece about 1 inch off the end of the cloth. We're going to use this for our pocket liners in the table. What these pocket liners are for is they serve two purposes. One is when the ball hits the pocket, it'll bounce back and hit that slate. That'll be the easiest place for the cloth to tear. We'll give it a little extra protection here. And also when you're putting your cloth on, in each pocket, when you're stapling the pocket down, I don't like to see any wood in my pockets. So we put these pocket liners in so when we cut our cloth, we'll be sure not to see any of the exposed MDF board or the slate in the pocket. Just take this strip of cloth, measure you off a piece in the side pocket, cut you 2 pieces to fit the side pocket, and you'll cut 4 pieces to fit the corner pockets. Here's where you use your Super 77 again. I like to take a bag maybe that the cloth come out of or something, put my hand in it so I can hold it up on the table. You don't get any glue on the table. You don't get any on the customer's floor. You just spray each one of these pockets. It doesn't take a lot of glue to hold these pieces of cloth in. Then put your pocket liners in. Be sure not to have that pocket liner up above your pocket here. It needs to be below that ledge of the pocket. If it's sticking up too high, it'll stop the ball when it's rolling, and you'll be real easy to see it once you've pulled that pocket tight. Now I like to lay out a few runs of staples. Now we're going to get started with the cloth. I know there's a lot of different ways to put cloth on a table. And after time and time again of putting it on, you'll have your own way that you stretch your cloth and put it on the table. This is the way I do it. The next guy will do it a different way. He'll say my way's not right. But the most important part here is to get the cloth tight. So when you're putting your initial corners on, you want to be sure and, put several staples there to hold it as you pull it. I staple mine on each end, then I go back and pull it to the center pocket. This is where you want to have slack in the pocket, so when it's time to do the pockets, you'll have enough cloth there to do it. See, all these wrinkles in the cloth will pull out when we go to the other side of the table. See how I'm putting 3 or 4 staples in, and I'll cross them up. That holds that cloth secure in that corner when you start pulling tight on it. I'm pulling my slack in my cloth to my pocket. Same side of the table, the other end. I'm securing the cloth again. We're starting our real stretching process now. So when you pull that cloth over there, you want to get it real tight. Now this is where, after doing this for a long time, your hands will get built up. It won't be near as hard to pull the cloth. Here we're felting a corner of the table. I like to put one staple in the middle of the pocket and then cut my felt and pull it under the slate and staple it good. In the manual, we also have a diagram on how to cut these pieces of felt. Here you want to cut the holes out in the slate where your rail bolts go. It's possible to just slit the cloth here, but I don't like that because it can get tied up with a bolt and run the cloth out in the table. Now's the time when you want to check and make sure that you don't have any foreign material under this cloth anywhere. Nothing's worse than to get the table finished and the customer say, well, there's something under my cloth, and you have to go back and pull it down. Now's the time to get any of that out. Now we have our finished table here, and it looks very good. Now we're going to cover our rails. This needs to be done in the shop. We don't want to do this process at the customer's home. 1, it's too time consuming. 2, if you have a problem with a rail or something, that's not the place to find it. You need to find that at the shop. First thing we have to do is fit and cut our feather strip for the rail. We'll put this feather strip in, mark the center of it, mark each end where it needs to be cut. You'll notice with these feather strips, you put them in one way and they'll feel too tight. You flip the feather strip over and it'll fit a little better on the other side. Find the side that fits best. I always just take a straight razor blade on my mark, take my rubber hammer, pop it right off. These little feather strips are easy to cut. You want to make sure you get it cut to the right length. You don't want too much feather strip sticking out on the end to bulge your cloth out when you do your corners. Refit your feather strip, make sure your ends line up, make sure your center mark lines up. Make sure you can see your mark good. You do this so you'll know where the center of the rail is as you're putting your cloth under the feather strip. Lay your cloth across the rail. Now when you put this feather strip in here, you don't want to be you don't want to be easy putting this feather strip in, but you don't want to be too aggressive. But when you line the center of it up, you want to give it a good firm lick to get it in that groove. Hold that feather strip down so it's not flopping around. You have to be real careful here. You don't want to pound this feather strip all the way in at first. That gives you a ledge to cut against. Now you'll notice that I keep the end of my rubber mallets covered with some pool table cloth. I don't like to use a pounding block because inadvertently one of the guys are going to just pound the top of a rail and just beat it all to pieces. So I just like to use my rubber hammer, get your feather strip down flush. Now it's time to pull the cloth and staple it on the bottom side. This is where you want to be sure that staple is in that relief groove around the bottom of the rail. I'll take my cloth on the corner pockets, pull it at about a 45-degree angle out from the corner to put my first staple in. Then you want to pull this cloth from the end of the rail back to the center of the rail. Here you want to pull it from the center of the rail back to the end of the rail. This will eliminate any wrinkles. This cloth needs to be tight on this rail, but not tight enough as to deform the rubber on the rail. On the side pockets, you will fold your cloth on the side pocket, pull it tight, and do your stapling here. Several people do this different ways. This is the way that we do it. Be sure and put you a couple of staples on the end. You want to get these staples on the end close enough to the backing pad there that cloth doesn't extend out to get in the way of the pocket when it goes in that pocket hole there. You can't check these rails enough times. Here's where we've trimmed the cloth on it. See how all of our staples are inside that relief groove. Our cloth is trimmed inside of it. So when we bolt this rail to the table, you have a flat, tight fit between the wood of the rail and the slate of the table.